Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mystery Sports Podcast. And today it's all about Champions League. I know it's slightly late. I know there's been a kick. The early game has kicked off. I completely forgot about the early game. I thought all the games kicked off at 8 o'clock. I am sorry about that. But it's all about Champions League football. All about the biggest European cup we can have competition. What it what the biggest thing for European teams to all compete against each other is the Champions League. So we're gonna go run through my predictions. I'm gonna go through who I think will win, and we're gonna do this pretty much every week now on terms of who until the final, what I think the score predictions will be for all the games and who I think will go through and things like that. Um, but yeah, no, we'll get straight into it. Obviously the first game that has kicked off, and that's Liverpool versus Galatasaray. So, unfortunately, because I was late, I completely forgot to do my predictions on that. And, we can already see there in orange that Liverpool are 1-0 down. And I'll be honest, wasn't a surprise to me. I know looking at it now, saying it's 1-0, people might say, "Oh, you're just saying this because they're 1-0 up." I generally think that Galatasaray will win this first leg. I don't think it will be the overall I don't think it'll be the overall kind of outcome because I still think Liverpool at Anfield will win there. But for the scoreline that I'm gonna go with this game, I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win to Galatasaray. I think with it being away, if Liverpool can get a goal, obviously there's no away rule anymore after that beat was scrapped quite a few years ago. But if Liverpool can get a goal, they come back to Anfield. They only need one goal to get back on level terms. I think Liverpool at Anfield in the Champions League, you know, they will probably win that game, and I think Liverpool do beat Galatasaray at Anfield. So I'm going to say that Liverpool go through into the next round. And then you can see in the next game, I have got Newcastle versus Barcelona. Probably one of the biggest surprises, really. Like you don't expect Newcastle with the season that they're having in the Premier League to be against Barcelona in the last 16 of the Champions League. This one kicks off 8 o'clock, like most of the games do today. But as you can see, the shock I've gone for is 2-1 to Newcastle. I think Newcastle at home in the Champions League, they've been very good. I know Barcelona did beat them there early on in the season. However, I do think that Newcastle will get a result. There's something about going away to St James's Park. The fans will be up for it. I think the players will be. Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordon, who's been very, very good in the Champions League this year, will all be up for this game, and I think they're going to get a 2-1 win. However, overall, I'm going to go with the away side again, who will progress through into the next round. I think Barcelona will be strong in that second leg. I think they will be strong today. They could even win the game. However, I'm going to go with a Barcelona win throughout both legs. I think they'll go through into the next round. And then into the next game that we have today is Bayern Munich versus Atalanta. I think, this is one of those games where Bayern Munich, I think everyone knows that they're going to win. And, I can't see Atalanta really giving them a challenge. I think Bayern Munich, I've gone 3-0, a dominant victory, and I think Bayern Munich will be straight through into the quarterfinal stage. Simple as that, really, for Bayern Munich. Then we go on to Wednesday's fixtures. So we've got Arsenal, who are playing the 5:45 game against Leverkusen. I've gone 2-1 here. I think this is I think a lot of Arsenal fans think they'll probably, a lot of deluded Arsenal fans will think, oh yeah, we'll turn them over 4-5-0. I think this is one of the games where Arsenal have kind of got to be careful going away from home in Germany. I know obviously they can definitely beat, we saw last year when they beat Real Madrid away from home, and they could definitely take Leverkusen by surprise and absolutely batter him. However, I think with it being Champions League, obviously they've got a lot. They're still in all four competitions. They've got a final coming up. They're 7 points clear of the Premier League. I think Leverkusen will start this game well. However, I think Arsenal will just win overall, and I do think that Arsenal will go through into the quarterfinals. I think that's pretty obvious. I think Arsenal have got a favourable draw. I'm not saying that they should get straight to the final, but they have got a decent draw, and it wouldn't surprise me if we did see Arsenal go into that final. with the draw that they do have. I don't want to sound negative towards Arsenal. I think it's just one of those things that, you've got the luck of the draw really, and if you have a lucky side, then fair play. You have a lucky draw, and it's European football, and at the end of the day, anyone could be anyone, as we saw with Bodo Glimt. And then into the next game on Wednesday, we have Madrid versus City. I think Madrid, no Mbappe, as we've been confirmed today via Fabrizio Romano. No Rodrigo, who's out for the season. The defense is lacking. Bellingham, I'm not too sure if he's going to play. The left back who used to be at United, Alvaro Cavaria, he's out as well. So I can only see City winning this. It is at Madrid though in the first leg, and Madrid in the Champions League, as Gareth Bale said. Like, the fans are up for it. The atmosphere just goes up by immense kind of levels, really, and anything can happen, really, as I said before. But I do think City, with the quality they have, their second team absolutely turned over Newcastle's first team in the FA Cup. So, City's first team, I think, will do well against Madrid. I think Haaland will be well rested, obviously not playing in the FA Cup. I think Cherki looks very good. Um, Donnarumma is always class as a goalkeeper. He's won the competition last year with PSG. So really, anything can happen in terms of this game, but I do see City going through and through beating Real Madrid across both legs and getting into that quarterfinal stages. Just because I don't think Real Madrid have the best of sides with all their injuries at the moment, and obviously the manager is not the permanent manager really. But anything can happen. It is Real Madrid that we are talking about here. And then we've got another fixture on Wednesday. We've got PSG versus Chelsea. And this game is one of those things where I'm like, what will happen here? Will we see Chelsea perform, or will we see PSG dominate the game? I think PSG will dominate the game. I think they'll win, and I think PSG will go through across both legs and into that quarter-final stages. I think Chelsea, beating them in the Club World Cup, they probably could take that, but PSG were coming off the back of a lot of games, and they still have. They've not really had a break, PSG. But I just think PSG at home, they'll probably win the first leg, and they could even score 3. They could have that kind of lead then. I think they've got the quality there to be able to um, go through into the next round. And I'm just trying to find where the other predictions are. So I've got these here. But yeah, no, I think this Champions League will be a very good kind of game, really, and they should all be class. I might have to. I don't know why I cannot find the other things. Right, hold on. We'll get on to BBC Sports and we can go through the other games as well. This is a bit annoying that the Champions League site is down. The other game that we do have is probably another kind of surprising kind of fixture that we do have. So it is Tottenham versus, well, Atletico Madrid versus Tottenham. I think with Atletico Madrid, they're at home. Tottenham aren't the best of teams in the Premier League, and I don't think they will be superb. I think did I say Champions League? Tottenham haven't been the best of teams in the Premier League. I think in the Champions League, though, we saw it last year in the Europa League that they're a cup team, and I think Spurs could go through. My score predictions for this game, I'd probably go with an Atletico win, probably like a 1-goal win. I think it could probably be like a 2-1 win to Atletico, and then I think I'm going to surprise a lot of people. I'm going to go with Tottenham to go through after the second leg. I think Tottenham. This could all change, by the way, depending on what happens in the in this game today. But I do think Tottenham will go through. There's something weird about Tottenham. I think they'll do very well in the Champions League, and let me know what you guys think in the comments, because this I could be absolutely wrong here, but I could be absolutely right. I just think Tottenham will do something in the Champions League because they've got to fight for not the promotion, to stay up. But, they're also in the Champions League, the back end of the Champions League, so they could potentially win it, which is mental to say that a relegated side could win the Champions League. But no, let me know what you guys think of obviously Tottenham and everything else. And The other game that we did miss off on the UEFA app, and I don't know why it wasn't there, was this game, Bodo Glimt versus Sporting Lisbon. So Bodo Glimt, beating City, beating a few big teams. I think Bodo Glimt will go through into the quarterfinal stages. Um, it will be a kind of a good game for Bodo Glimt, and Sporting. I don't know. There's something about Bodo Glimt at home with like the temperature of where they play and everything about them. I just think that Bodo Glimt they'll somehow get through to this quarterfinal stages, and they could even prove to be some sort of like dark horse in this tournament. Imagine if they went on to win it, that'd be absolutely ridiculous. But well done to them if they obviously did win it. I don't think they will, but yeah, I think if I'm going to go through my Champions League winner, I'm going to go with Bayern Munich. I think Bayern Munich look very strong. Um, they do look like they've got a side in terms of Kane, Elise, who could definitely punish other teams and their defenses. So I'm going to go with a win for the Champions League to go to Bayern and them to win it. But this will all change because this is the first leg, so anything can happen in this round of games. Obviously, today and tomorrow will be the Champions League. Then it goes on to Europa League and Conference League on Thursday. Obviously, Palace in terms of English sides, we've got Palace, Villa, Nottingham Forest, and yeah, them three in there. So obviously, anything can happen with them, and hopefully they do well for in terms of British. I want them to go far, and I think Villa probably will win the Europa League this year. But yeah, that is everything for today. I will be doing, as I said at the start of the stream, I will be doing a prediction for all the Champions League games each week. Well, when it's on, so obviously next week when they have the second legs, I'll be doing that, or whenever they get played. I don't think it's next week, but I will be doing coverage of the Champions League and giving my predictions for what I think the scores will be and who will go through into the next round. But yeah, if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and like the video and share to all your family and friends. And I hope you guys have a good evening and catch you all in a bit.